Boeing's CEO Kelly Ortberg has ignited a political firestorm by boldly clapping back at Donald Trump over a controversial move to shift some manufacturing to Mexico. In response to Trump's aggressive new tariffs on foreign manufacturing, Boeing is now rethinking how it builds its planes and where. With trade wars flaring, aircraft deliveries blocked, and billions on the line, Boeing's next steps could either be a masterclass in corporate strategy or a disaster in the making. So what's really going on, and could Trump's tariffs actually push Boeing and others out of the U.S.? Well, let's find out. Boeing's latest move, floating the idea of shifting a portion of its aircraft manufacturing to Mexico, wasn't announced with much fanfare, but it didn't need to be. The rumors were loud enough. For many, it's a strategic play. For others, especially in Washington, it's a provocation. The move is part of a broader push by Boeing to streamline operations and reduce production costs after years of financial and reputational setbacks. But suggesting any offshoring of American aerospace manufacturing, especially now, is practically begging for political retaliation. However, there is logic to it. Aircraft manufacturing is expensive. Labor costs in the U.S., while justified by expertise and safety standards, are significantly higher than in neighboring countries like Mexico. Shifting certain sub-assembly operations closer to suppliers and emerging markets can trim costs, speed up logistics, and boost overall efficiency, critical when you're burning billions of dollars and fighting to regain investor confidence. This isn't a sudden shift in philosophy for Boeing. It's actually an extension of a two-decade-long strategy that saw the company outsourcing more and more of its design and manufacturing to global suppliers. That model peaked with the development of the 787 Dreamliner, which relied heavily on outsourced components from more than 50 key suppliers across the world. The idea was to spread the workload, cut down costs, and ramp up production. But the cracks in that strategy have already begun to show. On January 5, 2024, during an Alaska Airlines flight, a mid-exit door plug on a 737 MAX 9 blew off at 16,000 feet, leading to a rapid decompression. It was a miracle no one was injured, but the event was a chilling reminder that quality control had slipped. A follow-up report from the National Transportation Safety Board found that missing bolts were to blame. That same aircraft had been assembled through Boeing's complex, multi-layered supply chain, one that often includes third-tier subcontractors 2 or 3 steps removed from Boeing itself. And this wasn't a one-off incident. Boeing has faced repeated scrutiny over its build quality in recent years, amplified by 2 fatal 737 MAX 8 crashes in 2018 and 2019, which killed 346 people and led to a 20-month global grounding of the aircraft. The reliance on external suppliers, lack of internal oversight, and delays in identifying quality lapses have all eroded public trust and invited criticism from regulators, lawmakers, and even Boeing's own partners. Still, Boeing sees production outside U.S. borders as part of the solution, not the problem. In their view, manufacturing in Mexico isn't about abandoning American labor. It's about survival. It's about getting planes out the door on time and at a price that can compete with Airbus, which already has final assembly lines in China, Canada, and the U.S. But to many in government, especially someone like Donald Trump, this is nothing short of a betrayal. Outsourcing at a time when American jobs are already under pressure from inflation and global instability is a political landmine. And as Boeing pushes ahead with its Mexico play, it's not just shareholders and engineers watching, it's the White House. And speaking of the White House, the response from President Donald Trump wasn't just words. It was a threat. One that could cost Boeing everything if it dares to follow through. When Boeing floated the idea of moving part of its aircraft production to Mexico, it didn't take long for Donald Trump to respond, and his answer was anything but subtle. The president, known for his combative stance on trade and fierce defense of American industry, threatened to impose a staggering 200% tariff on Boeing's aircraft if the company followed through. Trump's message was loud and clear. Any move that could be seen as outsourcing American manufacturing, especially by a company as iconic as Boeing, would be met with economic punishment. In Trump's eyes, Boeing isn't just a company, it is a symbol of American industrial might. Since his first term, Trump has framed trade policy through the lens of America first. Under his administration, the U.S. slapped tariffs on Chinese steel, aluminum, and electronics, sparking a tit-for-tat trade war that rattled global markets. China retaliated, targeting U.S. agriculture, tech, and most recently, aviation. Boeing, as the country's largest exporter, has been right in the middle of this storm. Earlier this month, the Trump administration pushed tariffs on Chinese imports as high as 145%, part of an ongoing effort to reduce the trade deficit and bring manufacturing back to American soil. But then, in classic Trump fashion, he walked it back, at least rhetorically. This kind of ambiguity keeps even allies on edge. One day it's about protectionism, the next it's about flexibility. For Boeing, whose entire business model depends on long-term planning, international cooperation and predictable costs, this kind of volatility is a logistical nightmare. And because of such moves, CEO Kelly Ortberg believes it is necessary for Boeing to double down on its global strategy. So, when Donald Trump threatened a 200% tariff on Boeing planes, most companies might have panicked. Not Boeing. Not this time. CEO Kelly Ortberg didn't flinch. Instead, he made it very clear Boeing wouldn't be strong-armed into abandoning strategic decisions just to appease political pressure. His message wasn't just to Trump. It was to investors, global partners, and any other CEO watching from the sidelines. Boeing would chart its own course, regardless of the noise coming out of Washington. Ortberg took to the earnings call like a man with a plan. Rather than backpedaling, he doubled down. "I'm not going to let this derail the recovery of our company," he said bluntly. He acknowledged the noise surrounding the trade war, and the headlines about China halting Boeing jet deliveries. But then, he made the pivot, one that corporate America doesn't often make under the glare of political heat. He emphasized flexibility. If China won't take the planes, other customers will. He pointed to strong demand from airlines in India and Southeast Asia. Boeing, he said, had no shortage of eager buyers. That wasn't posturing. The company had about 50 planes lined up for delivery to China in 2025, including 41 already built or being built. With that deal now uncertain, Ortberg laid out a calm contingency plan: reallocate those planes. The CEO made it clear Boeing wouldn't continue building jets for customers who are not going to take them. That's not just about efficiency. It's about refusing to be stuck holding expensive assets in a standoff that Boeing didn't start. More than anything, Ortberg's tone reflected confidence in Boeing's long game. He knows the company has been through worse: safety crises, lawsuits, and supplier chaos. And despite all that, Boeing is pushing for a turnaround. Aircraft deliveries in Q1 were up to 130 compared to just 83 in the same period last year. Free cash flow was still negative, but it beat expectations, and Ortberg is sticking to his 2025 projection. Boeing will return to positive cash flow in the second half of the year. This wasn't just a CEO managing a crisis, it was a CEO drawing a line in the sand. Ortberg isn't looking for a political fight, but he's also not afraid of one. His stance put other CEOs on notice. Political threats won't rewrite smart business strategies. But even as Boeing scrambles to redirect jets and balance its books, the production struggles, quality control issues, and internal shakeups could jeopardize the recovery Ortberg is trying to lead. For all the headlines about tariffs and trade wars, Boeing's most grueling battles are the ones happening behind its factory doors. While the company is clawing its way back from a near collapse, the comeback is anything but smooth. Boeing's first quarter of 2025 numbers showed promise. Aircraft deliveries rose to 130 units, including 104 737 MAX, marking a significant increase from 83 planes during the same period last year. Revenue jumped 18% to $19.5 billion, a much-needed boost. However, underneath the surface, Boeing is still a company trying to stitch itself back together after years of deep wounds. Since 2018, Boeing has racked up a staggering $51 billion in operating losses. That number isn't just eye-popping, it's a reminder of how long the company has been bleeding. The infamous 737 MAX crashes, production halts, mounting legal costs, and severe supply chain issues have weighed the company down like an anchor. Even now, Boeing is operating under a cap imposed by the FAA, limiting production of the MAX to 38 aircraft per month following the 2024 mid-air incident when a door plug blew out. Boeing hasn't reached that ceiling yet, but says it's producing in the low 30s, and plans to request permission to raise the cap to 42 per month later this year. Then there's the space division. The Starliner program, once a bright hope in Boeing's diversification strategy, has been plagued with technical failures. A recent mission returned astronauts to Earth using SpaceX's Dragon capsule instead of Boeing's craft after helium leaks and thruster degradation sidelined the Starliner mid-mission. NASA has ordered another uncrewed test flight, putting further pressure on a program that was meant to symbolize Boeing's innovation, but now stands as a symbol of delayed promises. So Boeing's pushback against political interference isn't just about corporate independence. It's a signal that major companies are worried not just about tariffs, but about the direction things are heading. If a company as large, visible, and nationally important as Boeing can be threatened into changing its strategy, what message does that send to smaller firms trying to compete globally? Maybe Boeing is drawing a line in defense of operational freedom. Or maybe it's just the first visible casualty in a system that no longer knows how to balance politics and profit. Either way, this isn't just Boeing's story anymore. It's America's. So what do you think about Boeing's bold stance against political pressure? Is this a smart business move or a risky gamble in today's global economy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you found this video insightful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more such deep dives. Until next time, stay sharp and stay curious.